So let us see what is embedded systems and why these embedded systems are different than the normal desktop PCs. So we are going to see the next slide what exactly the difference between the embedded system and the desktop PCs, or you may can say it as laptops as well. So a good place to start, whether it is to eliminate or to enumerate the differences between a desktop PCs and the typical embedded systems. So what exactly is the difference? First is, as I told you in earlier lectures as well, embedded systems are dedicated to the specific tasks where the embedded systems are designed only for the particular applications, where the PCs or the desktop PCs you can say or the laptops are generally used for a generic computing platforms where a number of systems, a number of applications can be stored into this desktop PCs, but for the particular embedded system that is dedicated and also it is designed only for the specific task. The next is the embedded systems are supported by the wide array of processors and processor architectures, where embedded systems are usually cost sensitive and embedded systems have real-time constraints. So all these features of this embedded systems, like the wide arrays of processors or the architectures, or usually the cost sensitives or the real-time constraints, these are all mainly supported or only used particularly for the embedded systems, but it is not used for the particular desktop PCs. Once the investment for desktop PC is there, there is no any need to add an extra things for that. But for the particular embedded system, you need to apply or you need to take some extra things like processors, like architectures, like some other devices which you need to be applied only for that particular applications. In each and every application for this embedded system is on the real-time constraints. So these are all the different features rather than the desktop PC. And the next, if you see, if an embedded system is using an operating system at all, it is most likely a real-time operating system. That means it is nothing but called as RTOS. Rather than the normal desktop PC, we are using the Windows 9X, the Windows NT, the Windows 2000, the Unix, the Solaris or the HP UX. So this is the main difference between the desktop PCs and the real-time operating systems. The main implications of the software failure is much more severe in embedded systems rather in desktop systems. As we have told earlier, or as we have seen earlier as well, where the embedded system is basically used only for the particular applications, right? And if that application, if the system or if the software for that particular application you have been used is failed to install or it is failed to operate, then the whole system or the whole application, whatever you have been designed, it is going to get failure. But this case is not been done in the desktop systems. Whatever the applications you are going to install in that PC, you can, if the application is not working, you can uninstall it directly and you can install it again. But that is not possible in embedded systems. Next thing, if you are going to see, embedded systems are often more power constraints. More power is required for an embedded system applications. For embedded, the applications whatever you are going to use might be for any applications, as we have seen in last lecture as well, right from the satellite applications to a normal electric gadget. Each and every system nowadays in electronics we are going to use the embedded systems, and which is more power constrained. So more power is required for embedded systems. The next, if we are going to see, embedded systems are often operated under the extreme environmental conditions. Embedded systems have far fewer system resources than desktop systems. Desktop systems have a large number of resources, where embedded systems have very few resources. Embedded systems often store all their code in ROM, that is read-only memory. That read-only memory is being stored in a controller or the processor, whichever you are going to apply for that embedded systems. But this is not the case in desktop PCs. In the desktop PC, whatever the application you are going to install, whatever the code you are going to generate, that can be readable as well as it can be a writable one. So once you can write it, also you can delete the code in the desktop PC, but it is not possible in embedded systems. Embedded systems required specialized tools and methods to design that particular application in an efficient way. In embedded, microprocessors often have dedicated debugging circuitry. Now let us see what are the applications of an embedded computing systems. As we have seen earlier as well, embedded systems like applications ranging from bedroom alarm clock to satellites. Now each and every application is consisting of an embedded system. Right from the normal devices, if you see the clock which you are using at your house, the clock which you are using at your room is the alarm clock. Now what is the work exactly of that alarm clock? It is just going to give you the sound. It is just going to provide you the alarm for that particular clock. But that is also operated on some kind of batteries, some kind of circuitries, and which is installed with the embedded systems. So with this small application to the larger application like to the satellites. Now what do you mean exactly by the satellite? Satellites are nothing but where the signals can be transmitted from one place to another. So in that satellite also nowadays we are using an embedded system applications. So embedded application can be smaller than in the alarm clock to the bigger applications like satellite. Next, if we see the application is like health related devices. Now health related devices is like where the biomedical applications, if you see like your BP machines, your eye devices, eye operating devices, or the sugar check machines, or each and every machines nowadays is coming with an embedded systems. That embedded system is nothing but a very small device you require, and you can handheld it anytime or anywhere at your place, and you can check your total body's what you can say, the BP things, or you can check your sugar, anything you can do according to that health related devices nowadays, which is consisting of embedded systems. Wearables. Now wearables is nothing but nowadays you can see, as I told you, the watch where you are using nowadays, the smartwatch. Now what is that exactly the smartwatch means, which you are wearing at your hand, which you are wearing at your wrist? That hand or that smart, nothing but an embedded system. Everything that the word smart in their names, like you can see the drones. Nowadays in this COVID situation, each and everywhere in the area, to get that particular destination, to get that particular what you can say, the condition of that area, we are using the drones. So that drones is nothing but also an application of hardware as well as softwares. So that is also an embedded systems. Automobiles. Now you can see automobiles which are coming on batteries, the automobiles which are running on embedded systems is also consisting of software as well as hardware devices. Industrial automations, warehouse automation. Now warehouse automation is nothing but where the devices, for example, if you are going to order some device from any Amazon company or any company, so where the things they have been carried out, that is nothing but called as warehouse, where the system is packing all your instruments, where the system is packing all your devices and sending to some other shipment areas, that is nothing but called as warehouse. So that is also consisting of an embedded systems. And heck, even the self-lacing shoes from Nike utilize specific embedded systems to work. Now if you can see the shoes, whatever we are using, sports shoes, the Nike company, Nike is the one company where it is also using the embedded systems at their work. So each and every nowadays, each and every small gadget is also working with this embedded computing system. So now, as we have seen what do you mean by embedded, what are the difference between embedded and desktop PC, what are the applications of it. Now we are going to see, let us see what exactly the difference between the microprocessors, microcontrollers, Arduinos and Raspberry Pis. As we are saying, these all are the controllers which we are going to use in an embedded systems. But what exactly is the difference between all these four? Let us see one by one in detail. So microprocessor or microcontroller is just a process and needs a set of external peripherals like RAM, that is read only memory, serial ports likewise, and in microprocessor it uses its pin to connect these external peripherals. In microprocessor it offers the high level of flexibility while designing an embedded system, as you can choose your own configurations. So these are all the flexibilityness whatever we are going to acquire in a microprocessors. But let us see what is the difference between the microcontroller. Now in microcontroller has the most peripherals like RAM, ROM, analog and digital pins as well. As in microprocessors, it was consisting only of RAM and ROM memories, but in microcontroller it is also having analog and digital pins in it. You can also extend its functionality if required. In microcontroller, you can extend the memory of its place, where if according to the application, if you require more functions other than analog, digital, RAM, ROM, there is an EEPROM facility also available in this microcontroller, and even you can use it if it is required. And comparatively, it is cheaper as well as easier to use with lot of features in it. Now, the next we are going to see is the Arduino. Now, what exactly is this Arduino? This Arduino is an open source platform made for hobbyist things and easy learners. This Arduino is a board where all the things are already mounted on it. Just with the help of the application, you need to install that controller and it is easy to begin with. So many development boards are designed using these platforms. So these development boards are basically circuitry comprising of a microcontroller that can be programmed. As I told you just now, Arduino is such a board where each and every thing is placed on a single chip. Just a microcontroller with a programmed microcontroller you need to place in that Arduino. According to the application, the Arduino is going to work. And the input and output of these peripherals that allow user to interact outside the world as well. This is what we have going to say with the Arduino. Now the next is the Raspberry Pi. Now this Raspberry Pi, it is a development board with an STM32 processor, and with the help of this processor we can monitor a keyboard. You can use a monitor, keyboard, mouse and perform the basic functions like sending an email, etc. Or even with the help of that Raspberry Pi board, you can make a robot. You can place that Raspberry Pi board on some applications like robot, or you can allow that robot to send the email as well. So nowadays this embedded system is enhancing so much that with this application, smaller to smaller application to the bigger application, this embedded system is leading nowadays. So as we have seen in detail about these three applications, basically embedded system is made up of, or this embedded system is basically controlled with a microcontrollers. So microcontroller in detail we are going to see a brief history of 8051 microcontroller. So the first microcontroller was invented by Intel, that is 4004, with a corporation with Intel. The next microprocessors was the 8085 and 8086 microprocessors, which was also designed by and invented by Intel. But later in 1981, the Intel introduced an 8-bit microcontroller called 8051. With somewhat disadvantages of microprocessor, we are going to have 8051 in detail. Now what like the disadvantages was? The disadvantages was like in microprocessor we are going to use only the RAM and ROM memory, but in microcontroller we are going to use EEPROM memory, we are going to use flash memory, we are going to use RAM memory, ROM memory along with input analog and digital pins. So this was referred as a system on chip because it had 128 bytes of RAM, 4K byte of on chip ROM, 2 timers, 1 serial port and 4 ports, that is 8-bit wide and on a single chip. All these things was just designed in a single chip, and when it became widely, then when it became popularly, this Intel allowed others also to manufacture the same kind of 8051, same kinds of flavors, same kind of ports compatible with 8051. So it means that if you write your program on one flavor of 8051, it will run on other flavors too. Means other flavors is like nothing but other companies also can invent this 8051 according to their taste, according to their design. This 8051 can be applicable to any application and regardless of the manufacturer. This has led to the several versions with different speeds and amounts on the on-chip RAM. So the 8051 members were like 8052 microcontroller. As 8051 was there, later on it was also designed with 8052, has all the standards features of 8051 microcontroller with an extra bytes of 128 RAM and an extra timer was installed in this 8051. It was also has an 8K on-chip program ROM instead of 4K bytes. The next was 8031 microcontroller. It is another member of 8051 family. This chip is often referred as ROMless 8051. Since it has 0K byte on-chip ROM, you may add, if required, we can add this external ROM to it order to use it, which contains only the program to be fetched and executed. And this program can be as large as 64K bytes. But in the process of adding external ROM to 8031, it lost ports of, out of 4 ports, it will lost 2 ports. So to resolve this problem, we can add external input-output lines to this 8031 microcontroller. Next, we are going to see the features of 8051 microcontrollers. This 8051 microcontroller comes bundled with the following features like it is having 4K bytes of on-chip program memory, as I told you earlier. It is having 128 bytes of on-chip data memory, that is the RAM, that is read memory. Next, it is having 4 register banks. It is having 128 user-defined software flags. It is having 8-bit bidirectional data bus. It is consisting of 16-bit unidirectional address bus. It is having 32 general purpose registers where each register is of 8 bits. So it is also consisting of 16-bit timers, usually 2, but may have more or less as well. This microcontroller is also having 3 internal and 2 external interrupts, 4 8-bit ports where the short model have 2-bit ports into it. Next, it is also having a program counter and a data pointer of 16-bit. And the next features or the special features you may say of this 8051 are UARTs, ADC, op-amp, etc. That is analog to digital, op-amps, digital to analog converter. All these features are being inculcated in this 8051 microcontroller. So nowadays each and every system is being controlled with this programmer or with this controller, that is 8051. Next, we are going to see this block diagram of 8051. As we have seen the features of 8051, we are also going to see what are the external interrupts, the interrupt controls, and it has been given to the CPU and it has been generated through these oscillators. So it is also having the bus control, it is also having the input output ports where P0 to P3 which has been addressed or data bus, and it is also having a serial port for the transmission and reception of the signals, and that is been given through the timers. As we have said, there are two timers, 1 and 0, for the counter inputs, and that through this input ports it has been transmitted the data to 128 byte RAM, and for the bus control we are going to use a 4K byte of ROM. So these are the different features inculcated in this block diagram of 8051 microcontroller. Now as we have seen, this is the pin diagram of that 8051. This pin diagram is consisting of 40 pins, where in 8051 input output operations are done using 4 ports and 40 pins. The following pin diagram shows in detail about this. Input output operation ports reverses 32 pins, where each port has 8 pins, and the other 8 pins are designed as VCC, ground, XTL1, XTL2, RST, EA bar and ALE, program bar or PSEN bar. So you can see all these pins over here, which is consisting of right from P1 to P7, that is the 8 pins. The reset pin is included at 9. Transmission and reception pin is included at 10 and 11. The interrupt 0 and 1 is included at 12 and 13. T0 and T1 timer is been given at 14 and 15. Write pin is given at 16, read pin is given as 17, XTL1, XTL2, VSS, and likewise each and every extra functional pins is been provided to this 8051. So it is also having the 2 ports with AD0 and AD1, which is nothing but the port as well as you can address it, and the port 2 where it is starting from 21 to 28, that is P20 to P27 pin number, and the address lines are given at A8 to A15, and PSEN bar is applicable, ALE and program bar, EA and VPP pin is applicable, and upper one is the upper PO0 port P0, where the address line is starting from AD0 to AD7. So likewise this is the total structure of the pin 1 to pin 40. Now with next to this we are going to see the processors. Now processor is what? The processor is nothing but a heart of embedded system. Unless and until you are going to have the processor, the embedded system is not going to work. So it is the basic unit that take inputs and produces an output after processing the data. For an embedded system designer, it is necessary to have the knowledge of both microprocessor as well as microcontroller. So the one who is going to work under the embedded system as a designer. Now if you see, nowadays we are also having an offers for the embedded system engineers. There is a post for embedded system engineers. So to get the knowledge about this, it is must to know the processors, and it is must to know the knowledge of processors as well as controllers. So processor is a system. Processor has 2 essential units. First one is the program flow control unit, that is CU, and the second one is the execution unit, EU. So these are the 2 units unless where the processor is going to work, where the processor is going to get controlled, executed with these 2 units. The CU includes a fetch unit for fetching instructions from the memory. That is nothing but the control unit. It includes a fetching unit for the instructions to fetch from the memory. Now if you are going to write, as you know, wherever the processor or the controller, the code is been written into the memory, and to work according to the code we need to fetch that code from some memory, and that is done with this control unit execution block. Second is the execution unit that has a circuits that is implemented with the instructions pertaining to the data transfer operation and the data conversion from one form to the another form. So conversion of one to another is done by this execution unit. This execution unit includes the ALU, that is arithmetic and logic unit, and also consists that executes the instructions for a program control task such as interrupts, jump, other set of instructions. So as we know, this microprocessor is also consisting the functions like the instructions like interrupt, jump. Likewise, to enable the processor from the interrupt or to ask the processor or the controller to jump from one set to the another, these all things are concluded, or these all things are done with the help of this embedded, or you can call it as the execution unit, with the help of this ALU, that is arithmetic and logic unit. The processor runs the cycle of fetching and executing the instructions in the same sequence as they are fetched from the memory. The next we are going to see, as we have seen, the processor is nothing but a heart of the embedded systems. So the processor can be the following categorized. First one is the general purpose processor, and in that category of general purpose we are going to see the microprocessors, we are going to see the microcontrollers, we are going to see the embedded processors, digital signal processors, as well as the media processors. Next is also having the processors like application specific system processor, application specific instruction processors, GPP cores or ASIP core on either an application specific integrated circuit or a very large scale integrated circuits. So as we know, embedded system is basically designed for a particular applications. So for that particular application, according to the need, the processors can also be changed. The processor can also be utilized according to the specific applications for that to run. So that specific application can be an integrated circuit, or it can be a very large integrated circuits as well. So as I told you all, a microprocessor is a single VLSI chip. This microprocessor is nothing but a very large scale integrated circuit which is having a single chip of CPU. In addition to this, it is having the units such as coaches, it is having the units like floating point processing, it is having the unit like arithmetic and logic unit, it is having a pipelining units that helps the processors to run faster and to fetch the instructions easily and to run according to the application. So earlier generation for this microprocessors, fetch and execute the cycle was guided by the clock frequency on order of 1 megahertz. But the processor now operates at a clock frequency of 2 gigahertz, triple the 1 megahertz. So the clock frequency which was used earlier, nowadays we are going to use the faster processors, that is the clock frequency of 2 gigahertz. Now if you see, this is the block diagram of microprocessor, which is consisting of the general purpose microprocessor. It is consisting of RAM, ROM, input output port, timer and serial communication port. And these each and every block is connected to the general purpose microprocessor with the help of this data bus. So next we are going to see a microcontroller. A microcontroller is a single chip VLSI unit, also called as microcomputers, through which a limited computational capabilities processes and enhanced input output capabilities under a number of on-chip functional units. So this microcontroller consists of CPU, consists of input output port, consists of RAM, consists of timer, ROM and serial communication port. But the microcontrollers are particularly used in embedded systems for real-time operating systems, for real-time applications, to control the real-time applications with on-chip program memory and devices. So let us see, for ending of this, let us see what is the difference between this microprocessor and controllers. So microprocessors are multitasking in nature, can perform multiple tasks at the same time. For example, if you can see, a computer can play music as well as we can edit and write some content simultaneously in the microprocessors. Whereas in microcontroller, a single task oriented, for example, a washing machine is designed only for washing the clothes, right? You cannot add some other application with the help of with this washing machine. So if you see the second difference in the microprocessor